People of Iran have been living under a dictatorship for the last 43 years. Since the 1979 revolution, the Iranian regime has suppressed the rights of Iranian people within Iran. It has stifled the voices of dissent that we're seeing on the streets of Iran. Women, children, men are standing shoulder to shoulder across all 31 provinces in Iran, and they're calling for regime change. They don't want reform, they want regime change. What started off as a response to the brutal murder in custody by Iran's morality police of 22-year-old Mahsa Jina Amini, a Kurdish Iranian woman, has evolved into a mass movement calling for regime change, calling for human rights, for freedom, for Zan Zendegi Azadi, Jinjian Azadi. Women in Iran are fed up. The people of Iran are fed up. They want regime change. They want an ability to be able to express themselves politically, to practice their culture, to practice their religion freely and not be reprimanded. At the moment, there are over 14,000 political prisoners that are facing imminent execution. 227 of Iran's 290-member Parliament have written an open letter to the judiciary calling for the execution of all political prisoners. We're highly concerned about the fate of those 14,000 political prisoners that are facing imminent execution. Their execution is not a probability or a possibility. It is highly likely. It is going to be a reality unless the international community put external pressure on the Iranian regime. The international community need to isolate the Iranian regime and stop engaging in they need to stop their diplomatic dealings with the Iranian regime. They need to stop doing trade with the Iranian regime. They need to stop negotiating with the Iranian regime. Otherwise, nothing will change in Iran. The people of Iran need to know that they're supported and that their voices are being heard. They're fighting with their lives. They're paying a very hefty price on the streets of Iran with their lives, and they're crying for freedom. They're crying for human rights. They're crying for freedom of choice. They're crying out for the ability to practice their culture and to practice their religion in a free and open manner without being reprimanded, without being arrested and taken away, without being detained, without the fear of being beaten up. They want to be able to walk down the street freely with their loved one, with their partner, and not fear the wrath of the morality police. They want to be able to sing in public. It's incredible to see women and men and children at the forefront of this movement for regime change. It's remarkable to see the instrumental role that women are playing in this movement. And I'm in awe and in admiration of the courage and the bravery that's exhibited by the protesters who really are putting their lives at risk. They are showing that they have no fear in the face of oppression. They've had enough, and they really are a force to be reckoned with. Considering there's an internet blackout in Iran and the Iranian people are resorting to using VPNs to get their messages heard, and the fact that there's censorship in the media and the reporting of what's happening on the streets is not adequately covered by Iranian media. It's important now more than ever for us to be the voice of Iranian people who are risking their lives in pursuit of freedom and human rights and democracy. And it's very encouraging for people in Iran to know that their voices are being heard and amplified, and they're not. We have a responsibility to pressure our governments to hold the Iranian regime accountable for its violations of human rights, for state-sanctioned murder, for state-sanctioned genocide against Kurds in Kurdistan as well as on the Iran-Iraq border, for state-sanctioned genocide of Baluchis in Zohedon, for the state-sanctioned genocide of Azaris, for its arbitrary arrest of protesters, for exercising their fundamental human right to assemble and to protest. It needs to be held accountable for its downing of Ukraine flight PS752. It needs to be held accountable, including the president of the Iranian regime, Raisi, for its role and for its execution of 30,000 political prisoners in 1988. It needs to be held accountable for the mass murder of political prisoners over the years and for the execution of ethnic and religious minorities, for members